All right, folks, we're back again with another one. And as you can see the thumbnail, what it says, emotional women are destructive. Now, you might be saying, why would I create such a thumbnail? Do I have an issue with women? And the answer could very well be yes, or the answer could also be no. The answer could be that it's just based off of experience. And like many people have experienced emotional women, they know that emotional women are destructive. Emotional women are destructive. It could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be a spouse, or it could be a coworker. Emotional women are destructive to both men and women, because what seems to take place over everything else is how they feel. So I have outlined 10 different examples of emotionally destructive women, right? So with that being said, let's jump right into it. Number one, constant criticism. She regularly belittles, mocks, or finds fault with you, often disguising it as help or honesty. For example, she might say, you might bring up a point to her, and she knows she's wrong. What she will do is criticize the point that you are making, right? And says that she's helping you to see it from a different perspective. Or she might say something disrespectful and I would say to you, well, I'm just being honest. Look out for a woman like that, right? Constant criticism. It doesn't matter what it is, she's going to find fault. You could do something that she asked you to do, right? Like you could ask her for a drink of water, right? And you ask, do you want ice? And she says, yes. How many? And then you put the exact amount of ice that she asked for. And when you bring it to her, she will say, why didn't you fill the glass? Or why are these ice so small? Go back and fill the glass with juice or water. All right? This is a way where she will constantly criticize anything anything she asks you to do, even if you do it just the way she asks. All right? So keep that in mind. Constant criticism. Number one. Let's go on to the next. Number two, emotional manipulation. This one is a serious one. Emotional manipulation. Many of you knows what it's like to be emotionally manipulated. She uses things like guilt, fear, or affection to control your decision rather than communicating openly. Right? So she would pretend as if you should feel guilty of how she is feeling because you're the fault, you're the reason why she's feeling this way. Right? Or she'll use fear. She'll make you think that something is going to happen. Like, for instance, if you don't want to do something that she wants, she will threaten you. Like, for instance, some men, you have experienced this, where she'll threaten you and says, the next man will do it. Right? Or for female, she will say, I will get someone to beat your ass. I'll get my sister or my friends to jump you. Things like that, using fear. Or affection to control. Let's say you are the person that you like to hug or show affection. She will withhold the affection as a way to alter your decision making, rather than just being honest and say what she wants. Or even if she says what she wants, but it's out of your control or cannot be done at that particular time, and she wants it to be done at that time, she will use her decision making as a way to affect your decision making, which is her emotions, right? So be mindful of number 2, emotional manipulation. Women who do this are very dangerous, right? Let's go on to number 3. Gaslighting. Many of you have heard the word gaslighting, and some people don't really understand what gaslighting is. I'll give you a clear example of what gaslighting is. For instance, you see a candle burning. Let's use a candle burning, right? And you see that the candle is almost finished burning. And if it goes any further, it may cause an issue at the base. The wax may spill over, or the candle may melt sideways. But the person will tell you what you're seeing is not what you're seeing. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Right? That's an example of gaslighting. So basically what you're seeing with your eyes is not what you are seeing with your eyes, based on their perspective or them wanting to control the narrative. Right? So gaslighting denies things she said or did, make you doubt your memory, feelings, or sanity. Right? So give an example. You and her may be having a conversation. And like I say, this could be any one of the 4: a parent, a sibling, a spouse, or a coworker. The order doesn't really matter. But she'll say something to you, and you know you heard what you heard. However, in a split second, she said, I didn't say that. That's not what I said. And you're like, yes, I know what I said. I'm like, no, that's not what you said. No, this is what you said. And you will repeat it exactly back to her. And what she will do, said she never said that. So now then you start questioning, did she really say that? You know, I give you a scenario that happened with me. So I have a friend, and she would say certain things to me. And I would say, wait, did you just said that to me? And she's like, no, I did not say that. And I say, yes, you did. And it kept on going on and on for a while. And she said, you know what? I'm going to start recording this conversation, our conversation. I say, you know what? Do it. You have my okay. I consent to you recording our conversation. So she would record the conversation moving forward. And then she would run me down and said that what I heard she said, she did not say it. And then I would say, go and listen to the voicemail. And then when you hear what you said, call me back and apologize. And oftentimes when she calls back, she doesn't apologize. She will just laugh it off. Right? As if what I heard her said and repeated it back to her was just a thing to jest or laugh about and just move it to the side. And if I said no, apologize, she would be like, you're still on that? That's an example, right, of gaslighting. So let's go to the next one. So, lack of accountability. Lack of accountability is a big one for a lot of people. Never admits faults. Kind of goes back to gaslighting a bit. Never admit faults. Everything is always someone else's responsibility, especially yours. Never take accountability. Accountability and honesty and taking responsibility for their actions, it's like running from your own shadow, right? Because even though the shadow is there, she's going to say that's not her shadow. Because why? No responsibility of accountability, right? I hope that explains how severe a person that lacks accountability is when they would run from their own shadow and said that's not their shadow. All right? Hope that helps. Let's move on to the next one. Extreme jealousy or possessiveness. Wow, guys, this one is a doozy. This one is a doozy. A lot of people have experienced people that are extremely jealous and possessive. And their possessiveness is so erotic that you don't know when to expect, right, how they're going to react if you're speaking with someone of the opposite sex or even of the same sex. I give you I read it, what it says. Tries to control who you see, talk to, or spend time with, often accusing you of withholding evidence. I'll give you an example, personal one of mine. So I was seeing someone, very attractive woman, and when I'm on the phone with my sister and she's with me, not my sister, the person I was seeing is with me, and I'm on the phone talking to my sister, she would tell me, "You're on the phone too long with your sister, I'm here." Now, mind you, I'm only on the phone with my sister for like 15, 20 minutes, right? Discussing family matters. And this particular person that I was seeing, my mom was passing away, and my sister and I were discussing what is going to be the next step that we're going to take in regards to our mother situation and hospitalization and what may happen next. And she was so, this woman that I was seeing was so agitated and annoyed that I was on the phone with my sister. She started telling me that you're on the phone too long. I'm like, but my mother is passing away. My mother is sick and about to pass away. We're discussing. She says to me, "I don't care." Now, isn't that crazy? Right? I was talking to my brother and she says, "You're on the phone too long with it." First she came out and she says, "Who are you talking to?" And I already know she knew who I was talking to because I told her I was going to talk to my brother. She came by and hang out right behind me where I could see her from my peripherals. And she was listening in. And then she walked out as if she wasn't there when I kind of like tilt my head and looked. She said, "Who are you talking to?" I said, "My brother." "How long before you come off the phone?" I'm like, "Why? What's the reason for this? It's not like we have to go anywhere." And then she stormed off and walked away. A person like that is irrational, aggressive, and very disrespectful. Because when they're trying to control how you interact with friends and family, they are going to do the extreme things to get you under their control. So watch out for people that are extremely jealous and possessive. All right, let's go on to the next one. Withholding affection as punishment. Withholding affection is a form of punishment. So, many relationships have ended because of withholding affection as punishment. I remember when I was young and my dad would go out and he'd hang out with his friends. And I remember one instance he came home and the friend brought him in the house because he had drank too much. So he was a bit tipsy and walked in, put him on the bed, and walked out. As soon as the friend left, I heard her in the room berating my dad. Like, why? Right? And he's trying to tell her, just let me sleep and in the morning I explain. And so in the morning when he finally woke up, she was on him. On him. And he's explaining that he was just hanging out and he drank too much. And she started accusing him of being with another woman. And he's telling her, no, I was not with another woman. And what she did, she started withholding her affection towards him. When he goes to her and try to hug her, leave me alone, and push him off. Right? When I got older, he opened up to me and he says, your mother used to always accuse me of cheating until I couldn't take it anymore. She would hold intimacy from me as a form of punishment, and I couldn't take it anymore. So that's why when we separated and she wanted me back, I would not come back. It wasn't because of the children. It wasn't because of you and he named my siblings. It was because of her. She always uses love and affection as a form of punishment. And then eventually, I just started cheating. And that's the truth. And I believed my dad. Right? So when a person is in a relationship and love and affection and bedtime intimacy is withheld, it can push your spouse to go look elsewhere for that love and intimacy that they're desperately in need of. Because when you're married, those are part of the agreement. So if you withhold those things within the marriage, you cannot blame your spouse to go out and infidelity happens. Accountability needs to be held at a high regard right there. All right? So let's go on to the next one. Emotional volatility. Emotional volatility. Let me tell you, mood swings, it's a dangerous thing. So let me read. Number 7, emotional volatility, sudden mood swings, explosive anger, or dramatic reaction that keeps you walking on eggshells. And I'm telling you, a couple of relationships, I felt that. With my mother, I felt that. Right? My mother was an emotional, volatile person. A few of my exes were emotionally volatile women. I asked myself, I wonder, because there's a saying that we tend to look for a person that represents how our parents are, whether it be a very stable, conscious parent or a very volatile, emotional parent. We somehow attract those type of individual in our lives. We attract the toxicity, or we attract the calmness. And it's based on how we were raised. And we don't even realize that's what has happened in our lives. And sometimes it takes decades to actually realize this is why we end up in very emotionally volatile, toxic relationship. So again, number 7, emotional volatility. Sudden mood swings, explosive anger, or dramatic reaction that keeps you walking on eggshell. It's a scary feeling. Heart palpitation, uncertainty. It's a scary feeling. You never know what's next, right? Physical abuse comes with that. You never know what's next. Let's continue. Disrespect for boundaries. Again, number 8, disrespect for boundaries. Ignore your limits, privacy, or needs, and becomes hostile when you try to enforce them. I know people like this. I had 3 relationships like this, right? And you may say I have an issue with my mom, but my mom was very much like this. No respect for boundaries. If I said no, that no is disregarded. Because what? That person, that woman, it could be a parent, a sibling, a spouse, or a coworker. The order doesn't really matter. Right? They will try to shadow you. They will you be having a conversation with them and they're close in your face and you're like, hey, you're too close, and you back up and somehow they walk forward to you and it makes you feel uncomfortable. Or you're having a conversation with them and their breath smells horrible, atrocious, right? And you're trying to get away and they keep coming in your space. Or you close your door and you say, hey, you cannot come into my room or my space without knocking first. And they'll just come regardless. And so, well, if you wanted me not to come in, you should have locked your door. But I closed my door. Well, you should have turned the lock. No, you don't come in unless you knock and you're told to enter. That's when you come in. Other than that, you're not respecting boundaries. So that's an example. Right? All right. Let's go to number 9. Number 9. Playing the victim constantly. I grew up with this, folks. I grew up with this. My last relationship was very much like that. Constantly playing the victim. Number 9. Playing the victim constantly. Portraying herself as always wronged, even when her action causes the problem. Imagine you're sitting down, minding your own business, and your spouse, man, I'm talking to you, just come and smack you in the side of your head. And you're like, why did you do that? Oh, what do you mean, why did I do that? You're out here by yourself and I was bored, so I came and just tapped you on the side of your head. But don't do that. I don't like it when you hit me in my head. Or you said no about something, and because you said no, you're wrong for saying no. So what started happening? You start getting berated. She picks up the phone, calls Tom, Dick, and Harry, Sally, Jesse, Raphael, and start telling them anything and everything that did not go that way. And by the time they're done talking, the next time that person that they was having a conversation with sees you, believed everything that was said and start questioning you as if you were wrong when you're trying to explain to them, no, this is not how it went. I remember when I was being berated by my last situation, and I said to her, I am going to record our conversation, right? Just so you know. And I press record. I wasn't intending to record a conversation, which I did not. I just made her feel that I was recording a conversation. And she's turned her disrespect, her bombardment of profanity and disregardness of me explaining to her why I couldn't have called her, into her being the victim because I record a conversation, saying things to me like, you lose the best woman you've ever had. You don't know what you miss. I can't believe you record me. And I'm like, you're upset because I will have proof that what you've been telling everyone is not so. It's not true, right? Well, I don't care. You shouldn't have recorded me, right? And then after the conversation was over, she hung up and she called our mutual friend and told him a whole bag of lies. So much so that he called me and started questioning me. Like, hey, such and such happened? No, it did not happen this way. Well, she said it happened, but it did not happen this way. Well, could she have meant this? I'm like, no. Exactly what she said is what I'm telling you she said to me. And when I called her out on it, I'm wrong for calling her out on it. And because I then decided that I would record a conversation, which I didn't, and I told him, she went nuts, haywire, ballistic, because she thought I recorded the conversation. And here's the irony. Because she believed I recorded the conversation, she started behaving herself. But my kindness and ignorance told her that I really didn't record a conversation. I only made her think that I recorded conversation. Why did I do that? That nasty behavior just resurfaced back quick, fast, in a hurry. So be careful of women who play the victim constantly and portray themselves as always wronged, portray themselves as always the victim. All right, let's go to number 10. Erosion of self-esteem. This is a big one. This is a big one. Erosion of self-esteem. Over time, you feel smaller, anxious, drained, or unsure of yourself because of the relationship. Let me tell you, many people out there, I have many friends that have told me like, hey, so Shy, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Everything I say, everything I do is as if I have to be careful of how I speak. I feel less than around her, and I'm the one paying the bills. I'm like, really? I remember this one situation where I had a buddy of mine, and his wife berated him, belittled him so much, right? That when she came to him and said, I think we should see other people, he just conceded, while all along she had been seeing someone else. So her berating him, disrespecting him was all a way to get him to bend to her will, right? I can tell you firsthand that I had a relationship, and I won't say with who. However, I should say no, with whom. However, this person is still around, not in my life as a spouse, however, still around because of a certain circumstance, right? And I can tell you, she would. I give you a good example. She went to college and she got a degree. And because she got a degree, she tells me that I'm better than you. And I will ask her why. She says, because I have a degree and you don't. I said, oh, okay. So I don't have a degree, but you always ask me for money. I don't have a degree, and when you can't pay your rent, I pay your rent. So she said, and you're supposed to. You're the man. Like, oh, okay. Or another scenario. They want you to pay for something or do something that you don't want to, because you realize that no matter what you do, it will never be enough. Right? And they will belittle you more, talk down to you more, and sometimes even put their hands on you. Why? Because they know that the law will come to their defense if you try to defend yourself. I would always be told that if I restrain or I'm too aggressive, that they'll call the police. And it was done. All right? And when the police came out, I explained to the police, this is what happened. Right? And two situation now. This is what happened. She wanted to do something that I told her no. Now this is my place. She's here, but she wants to control what I told her not to do, that she's not supposed to do. Right? You know what? I'm going to be straight up, because it would be disingenuous for me to leave that out. So you guys understand. So when my daughter was younger, her mother didn't have a place to stay. Right? She was in transition. So we had recently separated, not because of me, because of her. She still wanted to go out there and have fun. Right? And I was with it. And so when she had to give up her place because things were tight, she asked me if she could stay at my place. And I said yes. Now, our daughter was living with me all that time. I was the primary caregiver at that particular point in life. And when our daughter would drink water a certain time of the day, she would pee the bed. And I didn't want that to happen. And so I told her mother. And her mother disregarded what I told her and went and got the water. No, sorry, she told our daughter to go get the water. And then when she's bringing the water, she said, no, the water is for me. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm watching TV, minding my business. So something says, go look. When I went to the door, pushed the door open, I see her holding the glass and rest her palm underneath our daughter's mouth, right, to catch any water that runs over, and feeding her the water. And I said, didn't I ask you not to do that because she will pee the bed? Right? And she was like, but she was thirsty. No, she was not thirsty because she drank earlier on. She's not supposed to drink water after a certain time. Right? I say, you know what? I can't tolerate this. And she went off the deep end, started cursing at me. I said, you know what? Leave. Leave. And she said, well, if I leave, I'm taking my daughter. I said, no, you're not. You're absolutely not. Right? Well, if I can't take her, I'm going to call the police. And so she called the police. And when the police came out, she went out there to talk to the police. Right? And the police saw me waiting by the threshold of the front porch area, and I started walking towards the police. So she talked to the police, and then the police came. Actually, he called me, and I started explaining to him exactly what happened. And the police asked her, "Did he hit you?" And she said, "Well, he was aggressive towards me." "Did he hit you?" "Well, he did he hit you? Yes or no?" No. Well, actually, so I say, you know what? Ask our daughter if I hit her, right? And she said, "Well, no, he didn't hit me." And he said to her, "All right, now you can go. You can go back inside, right? And gather your stuff." I said, "I already have her stuff packed. It's right by the door. She don't have to go inside." She said, "Well, I'm taking my daughter." And the police says, "You're not. You're not. It's after 10, almost 11 o'clock, right? And you're upset. And it looks as if she is fine. She's in a nice, comfortable home. And it doesn't seem like she is angry. She actually look happy. So get in your car and leave." So she grabbed her stuff, got into her car, and sped off right in front of the police officer. Dug up the grass because she was on the soft shoulder, right, not in the street, right. And the cop said, "You know what? I'm not going to worry about that." But let me tell you something. If it was another cop, like my coworker, my colleague, excuse me, he would have immediately seek to put the handcuffs on you, even though she's wrong. So because I've been in a situation like that, and my mother is like that, is why I read right through her game. So let her go. You go on inside. Thank you, and have a good night. Take care of your little one, okay? And I said, "Thank you, officer." All right? That was one situation. The other situation was when my mother did something to me. I'm taking care of her because she's old and she needs a caregiver, right? So I'm taking care of her. And she decided that she is going to belittle me. And when I ignored her, I did not respond, she decided she's going to put her hands on me. And because I shrugged her off and just went to the room, and I was so angry, I was cursing, I was using profanity, but I was in the room. I locked the door. She called the police. She threatened me that she's going to call the police. And she called the police. And the police came out, and I was outside waiting on the police. And I explained everything to the police. I was truthful from top to bottom. And while I was talking to the police, she came out with aggression. And they said, "Ma'am, go on inside. When we're done, we'll come and talk to you." And based on her aggression and things that she was saying at the door, one of the police officers went over to her and stood by the door because they didn't want her to come outside, because they were fearful that she was going to come outside and it was going to escalate. So I finished talking to the police officer, and the other police officer went inside and talked to her. And when both police officers were done, they said, "We realize, we understand, we see that she is the problem," right? And she was so upset because the outcome that she was hoping for didn't happen, right? She was so upset that she started talking to the officers, because she was a police officer, because she believed that she could talk to the police officers in any way, right? And because she's old, she can get away with it. And they said, "Ma'am, if you don't stop tonight, with this behavior, we will arrest you. Is that what you want? Right? And she was like, arrest me? Arrest me for what? I did not do anything. Ma'am, we asked you multiple times to stop this behavior, and you keep on doing it. Right? We don't see that your son did anything wrong. Your aggression shows who is the aggressor. Right? And after that, a female cop went in. It was 3 cops that came, 2 male and 1 female. A female cop went in with the male cop who was talking to her, and they had a discussion with her. And she said, oh, she don't want me to leave. She just want me to stop using profanity. Right? And they said, but we understand why you're doing it, because you're so upset, and we see you for our own eyes. But do me a favor, just go inside, go to your room, lock the door, put your headphone on if necessary, if you have one, and turn the TV on, do something, but ignore her. Right? When growing up, my mom was very abusive. So I was always anxious. When she calls me, my heart skip a beat. What did I do now? Right? What did I do? I was always unsure. She belittled me so much. Right? My mother had what's called a colorism complex, where she had 2 children that were lighter skin, and 2 that were darker. And the ones that were darker, she treated like crap. And I was one of the 2. And my sister was the other one. Right? And because of that and other mixtures that I won't really get into, it would be too deep. However, because of certain scenarios, she treated 2 of her children very bad. But the world would think that she was a saint. But at home, she was a sinner. Right? No matter what I did was never enough. Right? So, when a woman is emotionally destructive, it don't just destroy her emotionally, it also destroys the people around. Right? So, again, it could be a parent, it could be a spouse, a sibling, or a co-worker. An emotional woman is very destructive. Right? An emotional woman is extremely destructive. So, be careful of emotional women. Because if you're not careful of emotional women, it could also destroy you. Right? So, with that being said, remember, one love and respects, and always question everything. Because if you don't, you may fall for anything. You may just fall for anything. All right? And that's it for me, folks. Think and say. Have a good day.